Hello everybody and welcome to a very special episode over here on Sultan Plays. I'm Sultan, I'm here with SayHiPaul. Say hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
It's been a very long time since you had a chance to say that.
It's been a very long time since I said that.
So for those who don't know, Paul is renowned as the narrative legend over at DZTV and a bit of a lore master. So I'm over here filming a very exciting campaign which you can find more out about over on Paul's channel. Absolutely. If for some reason you don't know about Paul's channel, go and check it out. Some wonderful narrative battle reports over there. Very free-flowing, aren't they, Paul?
Oh, yes. Campaign called The Pariah Experiment.
Absolutely, yeah. So
first episode coming soon?
Very soon. We filmed it yesterday and we're filming more today.
Yeah.
Absolutely go check that out for more of that. And as I'm in the house of someone who lives and breathes 40k and understands the lore and narrative like almost no other...
Steady on. Steady.
I'm going big. I asked Paul, can we chat about what you think about narrative and how you make a narrative force? And you said, yeah, all right.
I said yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and steer you where I can because you have a penchant for tangent after tangent. Here's what we do. And we want to try and keep this somewhere in the realm of an hour. Because we've got stuff to film. I'm going to do my best.
Well, we talked about when we were going to do this, and I said the best thing to do is let's do it first, because otherwise we'll spend half the day just rambling through playing the games and go, oh heck, we've got to get all the bat reps finished.
Yeah.
And then, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. So let's do this first.
Yeah, I'm going to use all my willpower and it's very difficult to stop Paul mid-flow because you want to hear what he's saying, but we have limited time. So, Paul, first question. In your own words, what is narrative 40k to you? That's a massive question, but just give me your first initial thoughts on that. How do you play narratively?
How do I play narratively?
What's going through your mind when you choose a list or an army?
I see these are different questions.
Okay, right. Okay, so let's start again. What's narrative 40k to you?
So, narrative 40k to me is... I'm a bit slow because my brain hasn't done the words for these questions yet. It just knows it inside. And,
I'm dropping these on you for the first time.
And word assemblage is tricky with my brain. For me, playing 40k and by extension narrative 40k is all about playing out something that would happen in the game world and enjoying those hero moments or those tragic moments. Mm-hmm. It's when I was knee high to a grasshopper. No, I was still over 6 foot at the time. But you know, when I first got into it, and I was 15, 16. Yeah, it was about winning the game, and I think often when you get into it, it kind of is that to start.
Yeah.
But the more I played, and I have to say, my narrative Yoda was Stormshroud from Fast Panda Gaming, because we played 40k together for years until he went in a different direction. I remember he was putting down a unit of Devastators for his Iron Snakes, and he put a Rhino down, and I'm like, why don't you have a Razorback? Because he's just going to sit at the back and shoot. He says, there's 10 of them. I'm like, yeah, but there's 10 of them. What are you going to make the other 4 do? Jog alongside? I'm like, she's got a good point. And little drip events like that made me think, do you know what? I am going to... More and more, it came to be about playing out what would actually happen in the game world and building my armies as they would be in the game world. When I first came back to 40k and I built an army for an event, I had 2 tactical marine units and there were 6 men.
Yeah.
And after that event, the very first thing I did was make them both up to 10 men. Because I'm like, no, 10 men. And they need rhinos. So it was... I didn't start out like this, but more and more you see that... Because I'm at heart a role player, and a live role player. I used to be a live role player. I do not have the physique for it anymore. And I altered my armour that many times, I ran out of chain links. No, really, you can see the ones that are shinier than the others because I put new links in and I made it bigger and bigger and bigger because taking it off the bottom and it's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Yeah. And So it all for me is about making the decision that the person or the individual in that scenario would make.
Yeah.
I put myself into their shoes.
Okay.
Which is one of the reasons I often have difficulty playing Tyranids, because they are so other.
Yeah.
It's more difficult to do.
You can't put yourself in their shoes because they are completely alien.
They are completely alien.
Yeah.
I'm getting my head around that more and more, because you can treat the hive mind as an intelligence.
Yeah.
And then treat the units as weapons.
Appendages.
Yeah. So whether this lives or dies is irrelevant. It's biomass that's currently in this form. I will do this with it.
Yeah, so this unit of Hormagaunts is to pin. It's basically the hand that is pinning this unit, while the other hand punches another unit, something like that.
And then when they die, the Rippers will come along, consume them. The Rippers themselves will then go into the digestion pool, and lovely biomass.
Lovely.
So
no hero characters there, as much.
Well, you still have the moments. You have the what's the Hive Tyrant do? You have the sort of consciousness of, in a very similar way to Necrons. Necrons have to go through biotransference. The Warriors have got virtually nothing left of their former selves, all the way up to the Silent King, who is entirely there, and different levels in between. And I see the Tyranid Hive creatures as being on that scale.
Yeah.
You've got sort of Hormagaunt, no real intelligence, just animalistic, until it's like, I'm in range of something bigger that's controlling me.
Yeah.
And the Warriors are sort of like, we know what's going on here. And like, right, the Hive says do this, we will now go and do this.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're learning how to narratively play Tyranids, roleplay the Tyranids.
They're the one main army I still haven't got.
Well, never say never.
Well, GW have hinted that they're coming after Eldari, so it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's good.
It'll happen.
It'll happen.
So essentially, you were inspired by external factors to not learn to play narratively, but you were inspired. And you started thinking about what the troops on the ground are thinking.
I grew in a narrative direction by trying to put myself, by using my roleplay brain in a war game context.
Yeah. Well, a seed doesn't become a flower in a day. So
it depends what plant you're talking about.
A seed very rarely becomes a flower in a day. And in this case, you had the seed was planted, and then over years it's grown and bloomed, and now you're this lovely narrative sunflower. So there we go. You're very tall.
Sunflowers are top heavy. Big thing at the top, little beanstalk. I'm more like a weeble.
A weeble.
Yeah. Although I do fall down, so I wibble and I wobble and I do fall down. I'm like an inverse weeble. I digress.
You digress.
I digress.
I had nothing to say to that.
So that is... It's that mentality I bring to all parts of wargaming. So I bring that mentality to how I play. What would this unit do? I remember there's a very famous... battle report I did with Winters. Orcs versus the 13th.
Is that when the Stomper came along?
No. It was the one before the Stomper.
I know the one you mean.
And it got over 500,000 views. It was absolutely phenomenal. And people still refer to it to
it still
today.
Takes over.
Yeah.
That's over on our friend Winter's SEO channel with Paul and Winters. It's an awesome bat rap. So
if you haven't heard of him, I don't know how you're watching this. But
they've definitely watched this. But you never know, right?
You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
I didn't shush phone, and in come on, Brain, get there. In that battle report, there's one incident where some of my knobs wipe out this Marine unit, and then I consolidate into his captain or whatever it is, and he goes, "Well, don't do that. I'll get to hit you for free." And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like the knobs are not going to go. Don't go near him, lads. It looks a little bit tasty.
Yeah.
They're going to barrel through the thing they're killing and pile into the next thing. And that moment is they come in and the Space Marine Commander is there, cutting down the first 3 or 4 before the mob hits him. That's exactly what's playing out.
They don't know the difference.
That's exactly what's playing out when you make that decision. Occasionally you'll go, do you know what? I'm going to hold back for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But it's normally, I normally think, how close to the war boss are they? Is there something the war boss has told them to do that means they're going to stop because they're more afraid of the war boss? If the war boss said, go and get that gubbins, in which case they might go,
go get the gubbins, yeah.
But if they're away from the war boss, I'm like,
yeah, and that mindset naturally in that specific scenario leads to an awesome hero moment for that captain. Because he just sees his troops get barreled over a bunch of knobs, and then he raises his shield and sword and goes, no, bangs them back and starts fighting them.
Smashes it to bits. And maybe the knobs at the back come in and start to clobber him. Do the ones left bring him down?
Yeah.
Or does a weird boy blow his head off? You know, it's...
What's that one? Yeah. Poor Civitas. But, yeah. No, that's nice, because it seems like your narrative brain has led to some awesome hero movements.
So, when I'm playing the game, I make decisions based on what I think the unit would do. So, obviously the faction does things differently, but even within that, the individual armies do things differently. All my Chaos Legions, I have a different mindset when I'm playing each one, same as the Space Marine chapters. So, the Iron Hands, notoriously cold and purely logical.
1 and 0.
Yeah, 1 and 0. It's like, okay, those Marines over there are about to die. Do we achieve our objective? Yes.
They've served their purpose.
Am I bothered?
Yeah.
But if I'm playing, say, the Ultramarines or the Blood Angels, I'm more sort of like, no!
Yeah. So I can see where you're going with that, because the Iron Hands are like, cool, we've achieved our mission, leave them there. The Ultramarines will be fall back and then withering hells of fire to take them down, whereas the Blood Angels will be charging in to join, and so on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, my Blood Angel Devastators are a unit that I love, that people very rarely take, or took back in the day when first generation Marines were the main thing. And I'd still take them because they're a chapter. They field Devastators.
Yeah.
So Devastator Marines, pow, 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 boom, pow, boom, pow, boom. The enemy getting quite close. It's like, yeah, let's have them.
Yeah. Still Blood Angels.
They're about to come into they're going to try and take our position. Yeah, they are in for a shock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom. Back in the day, you used to have to make a test with each unit. You had to roll the dice for them to start the turn, and on a 1, they would automatically have to run towards the nearest unit and then try and assault them.
For Blood Angels specifically.
Blood Angels specifically.
I like that because it's the first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially if you had Devastators on the back hill, they're like, they run forward, and the captain's like, oh,
damn it.
It's like, I wouldn't mind if they were right next to them, but they're all the way over there. A Death Company used to have to charge the nearest unit, and sometimes they'd go chasing around a bike the entire game.
Well, that's what I quite like in the current edition. Death Company lost the ability to fall back.
Yes, yeah.
So you got, guys, fall back. It's like, no, I see Horus. I'm going to kill him.
Burn, heretic!
Yeah, just an Auckland. What?
So I make narrative decisions as I play, based on the army that I'm playing and the... So, for example, Tau, right?
Yes, yeah.
Is this a good example? I don't know. I've just painted up a small Tau force.
Yeah.
And I've gone for Sept...
Viola?
Yes, it is Viola. I'm half into 2 reasons here. My brain will become clear in a minute.
Okay, they're very pretty about that.
So part of it is... So there's like 4 bits. And I'll tell you all the 4 bits.
Yeah.
And then we'll see where we go with the conversation.
Break it down if we need to, yeah.
1 bit is the decisions you make whilst you play.
Yeah.
1 bit is the army that you choose.
Mm-hmm.
1 bit is the story of the game you are playing.
Okay, yeah.
And the other bit is the way you set up the battlefield to reflect the story that you're playing.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to the Viola in a minute. So one of the things, I was chatting with a whole bunch of the Deployment Zone guys in September when they came up for a weekend.
Yeah.
You were here.
I was here.
You're one of the Deployment Zone guys.
I'm one of those guys, yeah.
Look. I can't wear my own merch. They don't make it big enough.
Oh.
I know. I can't wear my Deployment Zone merch. I have Deployment Zone merch. It's not big enough. I bought it optimistically, hoping I would become smaller. That hasn't happened. So yeah, this was a conversation I was having. We were sat around the table outside, lovely summer evening, and I say, well, narrative playing isn't just about. What were they saying? So, we're talking about Tyranids.
So basically, you were talking about the army, the battlefield, the game you're playing, and the mission type, or the story.
Let me run on this one.
Go on.
Just for a couple of minutes. We were talking about Tyranids, and I said I love playing against Tyranids, and the guys who play Tyranids were like, but even when you play narratively, you just can't win. And I'm like, well, playing narratively isn't just about how you choose to play the game. It's about the scenario that you create and the story that you create. A lot of people, now Winters is a big advocate for this, and on virtually every battlefield he does, he has large line of sight blocking terrain in the middle.
Yeah.
And there are places where you can hide things, there are places that are in the open. Some objectives are in the open, some are sort of concealed.
Yeah.
A lot of his scenery is solid, so you can't shoot through it.
Yeah.
And that makes for a fair game.
Yeah.
But not all the battles that you're going to be playing out are fair.
Yeah.
So if you take a guard infantry line, for example, they aren't, and there's a Tyranid invasion, they aren't going to just walk into the city with all those blown up buildings and go, this is a good place for our defence line. They're going to dig in where they can see the enemy coming.
Yeah.
If they've got time to prepare, so in your scenario, if they are expecting the Tyranids to come, they will blow these buildings. They will demolish them. They will create fortifications and have clean lines of fire.
Yeah, so they have tons of time to prepare.
Yeah,
if they have less, it'll be sandbagging windows and making sniper positions and
that kind of stuff. But if in your scenario there is some choice over where to fight, that affects the story.
Yeah.
So if you're you might, if you're the guard, you might not defend actually in the city. You might build the line out in front of the blown out city because you can easily get the lines of sight.
Yeah.
Now that then means that as a guardsman, you have an advantage in that you can get all your las guns to bear and all your weapons to bear, and might put the Tyranid player at a significant disadvantage. Yeah. But that's the story you're playing out. And
so do the Tyranids get extra resources because of that? They get more Gribblies to throw at you?
Well, maybe they don't. Maybe you still do an even-ish number of points. But then, conversely, you can say, right, well, in this scenario, the guard player doesn't have his Lehman Russ tanks. Because in the narrative, tanks don't come with infantry platoons. Tanks come in tank companies.
Yeah. And
sometimes what happens is they deploy tank companies as a whole, or they break them down into squads and they put a unit from this company with a unit from that regiment. These aren't all the same regiment. They haven't got the same ultimate commander. They have different commanders. And the high-ups will decide how to deploy the forces.
Yeah.
Now, in reality, the guards are going to be in a thin line. They're not going to be able to bring everything to bear where they want it to. So if it's the Tyranid player, you are saying, we have been testing the line and we are going to attack where we think it's weakest. So you might have a scenario where actually this particular point has an infantry platoon defending it. And that's about it.
Yeah.
And you might have some sentinels, and the platoon might be armoured, it might be in its chimeras, but this isn't where the tanks are. This isn't where the Basilisk battery is. This isn't where the Scions are able to deploy easily, or the Ogrids. Because you look at your regimental organisation, you've got one unit of these, one unit of those, and like 600 guardsmen.
Yeah.
So part of telling the story is, okay, what's the scenario here? Actually, all of a sudden, the Nids are swarming this part where they think the line is weakest, and they are they're throwing bodies at it. So the gribbly horde that can't win in an even game, actually, the way your guard player has picked the list depends on the scenario you're playing.
Yeah.
And the way you set out the terrain for that also depends on the scenario you're playing. Whether it's tight city streets and they can't really get the line of sight, and you've got desperate desperate gun battles where units are falling back and shooting, and this unit gets killed, and then you merge squads together. There's a stratagem for merging, absorbing guard.
Conscripts can join up and stuff, I think.
Yeah. If one unit gets like down to there's 3 men and they're falling back to another nearby unit,
they get folded into
that squad. The sergeant goes with me.
Yeah,
and then
I love the idea of that. Even just as you explaining it from a purely objective, here's how to play narratively. You can already see that happening with the fire and maneuver. They're overlapping, leapfrogging one another. As units gets charged, they're overwatching. They're doing front rank fire, second rank fire, stuff like that.
And you might have a few units in particular places, and another couple of infantry squads kept in reserve
heavy weapons teams and above,
by the LT in order to, wherever the line gets attacked, to go and bolster it.
Yeah, like all small mortar units with the command squad trying to get some overhead fire going. You can see it already.
Yeah, exactly. So
we should play that.
To play, I would love to have a really big guard army. It's one of the things on my list. The list has over 50 armies on it. It's one of the things on my list to do a pretty relatively bog standard pattern, so it could be used on any planet as any PDF.
Yeah.
I want to do a company.
Just like urban camo or like regular camo kind of deal.
I want to do a company. I want to have 5 platoons with company command and some specialists, with attached sentinels, 10 sentinels, 3 squads of 3, and 1 sentinel captain. Which I wish there were models for. I wish there was an HQ for a sentinel captain.
Maybe a couple of scions as the auxiliary, like the Tempestus regiment.
Maybe they'd be coming in as reinforcements in a couple of Valkyries.
They're the shock troops
in a particular scenario. But I do different companies, so I think, okay, right. I think if I do a platoon, I'm like, right. All the books say a platoon of 50 men, but if you go way back, the SO&E allows slate of organisation and equipment allows for Caiaphas K.
There we go.
Allows for up to 5 infantry units, 3 specialist units, 5 heavy weapons teams, and I'm like, right, okay. How could I keep it to 50 but still got all that in? Right, maybe in this company, there's a heavy weapons platoon. Okay, well, in 1 heavy weapons team, there's 6 guys. 2 heavy weapons teams, 12 guys.
Yep.
What's the capacity for Chimera? 12.
It's almost like GW thought about some of this.
Yeah. So I'm like, right, okay, so maybe I take my 5 heavy weapons teams and get them in the Chimeras, and then I have 2 infantry squads, and that's my 50 men.
Yeah.
So that's a company. And I still deploy the heavy weapons with the Chimeras because you might need to move them. They got there somehow.
Yeah.
Depending on your scenario, whether they're coming into a zone or they've already been camped in there.
Yeah.
So right, okay, well, what else can I do? Well, you've also got units that are sort of street-to-street fighting, and there's specialist units, right? Well, okay, what special weapons teams? They talk a lot in the books about flame units. Bring up a flame unit.
Yeah, melter units.
Okay, special weapons teams, 6 man. 6 man. Right, dink, same thing again.
Special weapons team is what? It's 3 guys with the special weapons and 3 regular troopers.
That's right, yeah.
Who are acting as almost like close support for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
you can sniper teams like that. It's 3 snipers and close support team.
Could have another unit, another platoon that's set around that. And then with some of the other, then it's like, okay, 10 infantry platoon, 10 men, no heavy weapon squads, but maybe these are more versatile, so these have all got a heavy weapon in each unit. Maybe this platoon, they're meant to move fast, so they don't. They're special weapons, and they're more light. And okay, some platoons could have chimeras, other platoons could have Tauroxes.
Yeah. So at this point, you're essentially creating a first platoon is the breaches, second platoon is the recon, or first platoon recon, second platoon breaches, third platoon grenadiers, and you're basically creating, and then you've got the heavy weapons platoon and all that kind of stuff, and specialist platoon.
And the actual guys, the boots on the ground, they're only like 300 points for a platoon. Okay, you're giving them all an armoured vehicle, and they're like 80 points each.
What's a platoon? Is that 3 squads of 10 and a
5 squads? It's 50 men.
50 men is a platoon.
50 men plus the LT and the command squad.
Yeah.
So typically it's 5 units, but I'm like, okay, well, how could I? Because they also talk about the heavy weapons platoon, the specialist in this unit. I'm like, right. So if I stick to 50, because I did have this idea originally, the SO&E allows for all these different things and 50 conscripts. So a full platoon will be 150 men. That's what I've been building towards in my Ultramar.
Company or platoon?
Platoon.
Platoon. So yeah, platoons in 40k are massive.
So the SO&E allows for 150, but actually, what I've come to conclude is that you don't. fill out the whole SO&E for a platoon, you are still 50 men.
Yeah.
But the flexibility in the SO&E tells you what you could take. You could have a platoon of conscripts.
Yeah. That's your 50 men.
Yeah, that's your 50 men.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 units of 25. Okay, dink. That's my platoon of conscripts.
Yeah, and a commissar to...
Yeah, a commissar, maybe even a priest. Don't worry, the Emperor protects.
Okay, you are now full guardsman. Take the white stripe. Oh, he's dead. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, two things I've learned there. Firstly, Paul has talked us through how to build an army, which is awesome, because that was going to be one question. How would you build an army? He just talked us through it naturally, which is awesome. And secondly, is that platoons in 40k are huge. They're like 30 men in real life, 20 men in some cases.
You and your military brain.
Yeah.
But then you have what else can I put in with them? So your regiment has can have a unit of Ogrins, can have a unit of Weir Vanes, can have
your auxiliary. Kind of
your auxiliaries, yeah. And so you say, right, well, when will the colonel attach the auxiliaries to this company, this platoon?
Depends on the job, right?
It depends on the job.
So if you're doing a breaching mission, you want your Bulgrins, stuff like that. If you're doing a heavy weapons mission or a support mission, you want your Ogrins with their grenade launchers.
But you're sort of you've got sort of 3 to 5 companies in your regiment, and each company has roughly 5 platoons, each with about 50 men. Across your whole regiment deployment, where do your 10 Ogrins go?
Yeah.
You don't always have them all here. And then you have your Sentinel escort, you have your Hydra batteries. Then you sort of have your artillery regiment, where actually, this is all built around basilisks and rockets and things.
Manticores.
And manticores, they're crewing it, but they have also got some perimeter guard. So I would sort of go, we've probably got heavy weapons with those to protect there's maybe mortars to do more of that shelling.
Yeah.
And then tank companies. Okay, well maybe a tank company isn't just 10 Lehman Russ. Maybe it could be 6 Lehman Russ and 4 Hellhounds.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, there's any number of tanks I could have said there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, where are all these units? How do I get each one of these units into my army in a narrative way?
Yeah.
And then when you're playing the game, you think, okay, so I've actually got a mixed arms unit here.
Yeah.
I want to have some Lehman Russ. I want to have this. So, okay, it's the something or other platoon, and it's got a unit of Lehman Russ attached to it by high command from the regiment X. So it's from this tank company. This tank squad is from the Cajun 408th Tank Company, whereas this platoon is from Company 3, Platoon 4 from the Cajun 12th Infantry.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've done without apparently realising it. I had that slight narrative twist in my head. I like narrative too, clearly, that's why I'm talking. But my Volcanis battle group, if you like. So I've got the Volcanis 22nd Air Assault Brigade, which is mostly a Scion Militarum Tempestus style regiment. So they're dropping from Valkyries doing the shock assaults. And then I thought, well, I need some armour support. So I created an armoured company to go with them. And then there's also a super heavy company attached to them. And usually they go to battle in either in a big armoured group or they detach as required.
A tank regiment would have, same as a normal regiment, 3 or 4 companies.
Yeah.
Each is a company of tanks.
And there's a squadron in each of them.
And their auxiliaries are Lehman Russ. They are Hydra batteries.
Exactly, yeah. And then as a result, I was like, I want some basilisks.
Sorry, cat.
Yeah, there's a cat down there. I want some basilisks and stuff like that. I thought, so that's when I made the 16th Siege Assault Battery, which is where you've got a couple of basilisks, a couple of Death Corps Krieg style models, because they're entrenching and digging in. They're the perimeter guard, those troops. And I've also then created the 143rd Tank Company, which is, or Tank Regiment, and they have Lehman Russian Vanquishers. Is their thing. So there's a Vanquisher company, there's a regular...
I've seen your pics. I've seen the pics of those. Yeah, they're very
that's
cool.
why there's a lot of different colour schemes in the army. So when they attach, they're all from Volcanis, but because they're all like siege specialists wearing the blue trench coats, like the engineer type company. And then I've got the armoured companies. I've got the ones that are in the Air Assault Brigade style paint, because tanks get repainted, believe it or not. So they've been repainted for winter warfare, for working with the Air Assault Brigade, because essentially Lehman Russ is actually quite quick. They move in the lore. They're quite a rapid vehicle. So what they do, and same with like Chimera's Basilisks. Basilisks are very fast. But the idea is that they get dropped in, and this tank company races to catch them. I think Market Garden, bridge too far. this tank company is racing to catch up and give them the heavy support they need, because Scions are always outnumbered, but never outgunned. That's the one.
Never outgunned.
Unless they're fighting Chaos Marines. Okay, the mantra is that they're always outnumbered, but they shouldn't be outgunned. But usually they are.
Never outgunned by unmodified humans.
And by unmodified humans.
Apart from Tracer Scions.
Yeah, when it's the same. But that's why the tank companies would race ahead to catch up, and then they're no longer outgunned, hopefully.
So the notion of what I want to do is I want to build all these things, but in a very similar generic scheme. So in any kind of narrative, I can say I can build a narrative. I can do a campaign for 2, 3, 4, 10 episodes.
Yeah,
and they are this. These platoons from these companies in this scenario defending this hive, smashing this target, and so because at the moment I've got my my Ultramar guard. I can't do that with them. Especially, I can't do anything in Imperium Nihilus. So if I want to do anything with the Sisters of the White Rose, Order of the Sacred Rose. Sorry, the White Rose is in a Character Cane book. The Order of the Sacred Rose or Blood Angels, they're all in Imperium Nihilus. So I can't have guard elements from the Ultramar PDF being and equally, I can't use the Order of the Sacred Rose over here.
Yeah.
So I've had to buy more nuns for this side. I had to right. Let's pick an order that's
We're on
over
to
here.
your GW. We see what you did to Paul. Buying double armies for everything. You're insane. I love it. But that's the narrative, right?
That's why I've ended up with 50 armies. About 30 of which are built and painted, 20 of which are on shelves and in drawers.
Your Death Guard
and in massive piles. I mean, what do I? If I just randomly look behind me, what have I got here? An Arch Revenant.
Grimalgus. Loads of good stuff. Paul, as you can see, Paul is extremely narrative in that he will literally double up. So can't play Blood Angels because they're Imperium Nihilus, so we need another Space Marine chapter to respond to this.
I don't know what
live
this is.
unboxing of something. Bits. Space Marine.
Space Marine legs.
Space Marine legs.
Why have I got Space Marine legs? I know why. Because I have got a box of Black Templar upgrades.
Ah, right here.
No.
The
They're Primaris Black Templar upgrades.
Yeah,
I've got the old upgrade. You've got everything you need to build the Black Templars apart from the legs.
Ah, okay, because you get your bodies.
So
and
I interneted those. Yeah.
There we go.
I'll just probably stop reaching behind me because
yeah, we'll just get stuck in.
What's in this?
Yeah, I'm going to do a little just like shift back with this. Look at all those boxes up there.
Oh, that's the tip of the iceberg. I mean,
That's the tip of the iceberg.
I am a functioning addict, but I am very much an addict. I mean, what's even in this drawer? Oh, no.
Well, before we go too far into exploring the room.
They're all transfers!
Oh, goodness me. Lots of stuff. But yeah, so you've talked us through sort of your origins of narrative, how you learn. You talked us through what it means to you and how you build an army. The perfect example being that Imperial Guard force based on...
I haven't built that, that's just what I want to do.
No, but based on that, that's the ideas you've got from Black Library books and the law that is established in codices and things like that. So that's kind of how you've built the army. How do you... And you've kind of mentioned briefly how you play it in the example with the Orc Knobs charging through the lanes. How would you set up... So you fill battle reports.
I do.
Yeah. So how do you set up a table for a narrative game? What are your thoughts on that?
There's a couple of different ways of doing it. One is set up the table the way you like and go, this looks really cool.
Yeah.
And then go, right, what could be happening here?
I suppose it depends on what idea comes first, right, in that situation.
Fizzy. Bacon. Sorry. Sorry, I'm rambling in your channel. It's very unprofessional of me. But I am who I am.
Well, I knew what I was asking for.
As advertised.
Yes, yeah, 100%. You get what you pay for, and I didn't pay for anything.
You pay peanuts, you get monkeys. All I'm going to say is, where are my freaking peanuts?
Hopefully it's the filming we're doing for the channel. Is that the bit of those?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what comes first, chicken or the egg in this
Oh,
case?
yeah,
It's the
yeah,
table
right.
or the narrative. Right?
So, for example, I've got a battle map which is like a fallout zone. It's got craters and things on it, and I've got a lot of ruined Imperial buildings from the original Imperial Buildings box, which I've got the box for around here somewhere. Which,
sure you do,
which
yeah.
my parents bought me for a birthday one year. There's like 10 Imperial buildings in a box. It's like, oh, I want this!
Quite a few.
Yeah. But they're all ruins. It's like, okay, I'm putting these on the table. Why are all these buildings ruined? When were they ruined? Were they ruined recently? Has this place just been bombed? If it has,
there's still fire, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What are we actually fighting over? Okay, we're playing this mission with this objective, but what is the wider context of it?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a notion for a campaign, which I've still got to film the last part of, because I had a big break with SayHiPaul because of Brain. What's it called? Chasing Serenity. And the idea was, it was a World Eaters incursion against Ultramar PDF and some Ultramarines. So okay, I got 1,000 points of Ultramar PDF. I'm going to paint up 500 points of Ultramarines, because I ended up with the Warhammer Conquest magazine. I ended up with lots and lots of extra Space Marine, which I think you're doing Imperium, aren't you?
The Imperium magazine,
Imperium
yes, that's a sequel to.
Yeah. So I did the Conquest magazine and the Mortal Realms magazine. And so I ended up with lots and lots of bits. You mentioned Stormcast, by the way.
I love Stormcast, yeah.
Very there's
cool.
lots of unpainted Stormcast. How on earth did I go down that tangent?
You started talking about Imperium magazine.
And then Mortal Realms magazine, that's how I did it. My brain is a strange and scary place.
Oh, you got me, Paul, it's all right.
But you're going home later. I thought, okay, so I want to do 500 points of Ultramarines. So I had Tactical Squad painted from way back when, and I'd done 5 Intercessors. I thought, how do I make this up? Okay, I'll do a Lieutenant, and I've got a Dreadnought. So I've got a mix of Primaris and a mix of not. Like, right, okay. So why are there only 14 Marines on this planet with Guard? And how have the World Eaters got here?
Right.
I'm like, right, okay. So first of all, so it was in during the Indomitable Crusade, so it was in Ultramar. So I'm like, right, okay. So the World Eaters have got to have got past something. All right, okay. Because at the front line of the Indomitable Crusade, you have big armies. You don't have a little scrabbly infantry platoon and 10 Marines. Well, why are there 15, 16 Marines?
You have full chapters of Marines. And
why are there 15 Marines on this planet? Well, okay, maybe that Gilliman has decided that he needs to redeploy the assets in this area, and this planet is valuable. I decided it was, in the end, it was an aqua planet. It was a water-producing planet.
Okay, yeah, so very, very precious.
Very precious. Because the ocean had a very low salt content, so it could be...
Just drunk.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it was an aqua world. Right, okay. So why are there 16 Marines? Well, maybe the value of it's incredibly unlikely that any group of chaos, any large chaos force wouldn't be able to get this far, but it's still potentially possible that a small group of chaos, a small ship with a limited contingent, could get this far. Okay, so this is me sort of thinking, I'm working this through. Maybe the class of ship that could sneak through is sufficiently small. It could maybe hold only 50 Marines.
Yeah.
So how many World Eaters have I got painted? About 50. And so maybe as a precaution against the risk of them getting through, Gilliman's decided that actually he will leave 2 units on this planet, because it's not likely the planet will be attacked, but the
The risk is great enough.
The risk is great enough. And if they are going to be attacked, the chances are it's only a force of this size. So those Marines taking control of those guard should be able to hold. Because the thing was, it was the planet, I decided, did have a heavy fleet contingent that he's had to redeploy.
Yeah.
So that's how I got to that story. That's like, right, okay, so then I started thinking, right, well, the only warship in orbit then is the Chaos one.
Yeah.
So it's going to have just the world is indiscriminately just fired on the planet before the things launch. So right, I'm going to use ruins. I'm going to use craters.
Yeah.
I'm going to do pipes that have been blown up. I'm going to do smokestacks. And then during the game, when things like during the first game, when like a unit's failed morale or something, I said, "Oh, a world eater Stormbird has just swooped over the battlefield," and they go, "Oh, get down!"
Yeah,
and stuff like that, and you start to say, "Well, right, well, they have to defend this place," and then you have a reason for the first game. So, right, that's the scenario. What are they doing? This is first contact.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you've got. I think I did 500 points. I've got 500 points. That's right. I did 500, 1,000. The idea was to go to 1,500. And I haven't done the 1,500 one yet. It's on a post-it on my wardrobe, which won't be torn off until I filmed it.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Because I really want to get these post-its on my wardrobe.
Yeah.
They're annoying.
It's a great way to do it.
They're annoying me.
I hate these. I need to do that way.
They're annoying me. So in the first game, it was just sort of like roving patrols, and it was mostly guard infantry with, I think, a 5-man combat squad of the Marines. And a couple of guard infantry, I put a bunch of corn demons. Like, okay, yeah, there are only 50 Marines, but whoop, demons.
Yeah.
We butchered a bunch of civilians, and yeah, they're shock troops.
Yeah.
We murdered this hab block, and Corn will be very happy.
Yeah.
And
Here's a bloodthirster.
Yeah.
Bloodletter, sorry, bloodletter.
I haven't painted the bloodthirster, but he's
Yeah.
quite old.
Yeah.
He looks.
Did he compared to the massive
very small
insensate rage guy? Yeah.
Well, you stand him next to my avatar of Kay, they look perfect.
Yeah.
But as that, did you see that video? The it's time to retire.
Yeah, it's like Marnie's Calgar is now bigger than the avatar. Yeah.
Yeah. Our old enemies, Dreadnought. We were still tall enough to take them on, and then Redemptor Dreadnought. Oh dear. I loved that video. It was great. It was great. I can't wait to get my hands on one of those avatars.
Very cool.
And whatever army I'm supposed to be painting at that point.
Standard, yeah.
Yeah. That's why I tend to, So that then led to, bombed out buildings.
Yeah.
And then the choice of, because I always play with open war cards pretty much. The choice of what the open war was, I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, was based on that. And then the twist, it's like, okay, I'm going to choose the twist in this scenario.
Yeah.
I can't remember it, but it might have been like, -1 leadership for the guardsmen because they're being butchered by
demons.
There's demons running around.
Yeah.
I can't remember, or it might have been they're fighting for their home, or so it's like +1 leadership, or I can't remember. But it's that sort of thing. I don't always draw them randomly. I go, this fits.
This works. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, because you basically tailor the game to the story you want to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And in this case, what resources you have available. Which
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what I do is I do this, this, and this, and this. How much of that have you got? Well, all of it, but it's still got the cellophane on it.
Yeah.
Right. And
we're going to play real life Adeptus Titanicus, real full 40k size. How many Titans you got? None.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, it's a quick game. Good.
Yeah.
There's a cat again.
And I learned from doing the first 6 months of YouTube not to plan my schedule of games based on what I'm going to get painted.
Yeah.
Because
the cat just jumped next to the tripod. You're a monster, aren't
I
you?
didn't think she was going to do that.
We'll see what she does. We're going to keep talking.
She's weaving her way in and out of it, and her tail's twitching and...
Why? And she's down. Okay, we're safe again. That was the most tense moment you'll never see. Because it was below you.
So I've since gone, right, let's plan to film with what I've got. I still do it occasionally. I mean, when the tower came through the post, I'm like, I am totally building and painting these and I'm doing games with them.
Of course. That's a bit different though, isn't it? Because it's like, this is a force I will eventually film with no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like, I need to film a game in 2 weeks. Crap, I need to paint 1,000 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Pariah experiment that we're playing at the moment, the story is very much based around the models and the scenery that I have available.
Yes.
And it's the scenery, having the scenery available is a very key part of it.
100%, yeah.
At the moment, I do hardly any games on board ships because I've got the mats for it, but I don't have the terrain to put on top of it. I've basically just got cargo crates.
It can be difficult to.
Well, I've got
anyway.
I've got absolute shed loads of Sector Mechanica stuff back here that I've built and sprayed and not got round to assembling yet. But I think this will make good ship interior.
Definitely, that sort of Gothic architecture with the scheme, yeah.
But it's like everything. My scenery projects always lose out to the others.
The models, the miniatures, and the filmings.
The miniatures.
Yeah.
So and I've got AOS scenery to do.
So real life can affect the narrative. It's like, what have I actually got to use? Yeah, and you know what? In the case of the campaign we're currently filming, it's been quite good because we've limited. That means the missions have been limited in some kind of scope, in a good way, and we've been forced to use our creative minds to come up with why is it like this, and I think it's made a better story for it, rather than just being able to saturate the board with everything we want.
Well, even though because I've got a Necron mat and I've got a whole bunch of Necron terrain, I've managed to paint about half the Necron terrain in time. So again, breaking my own rule there about planning games and not having the stuff ready for it. So I don't always listen to myself. But even if I've got all the terrain painted, it's still only enough to fill a table. And we wouldn't be able to use the same table for all 3 games.
Yeah.
So there's more variety and thinking is actually required.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. That makes sense. So, to recap.
Go on, summarise that then.
To recap, essentially, we've gone through what made you start to decide, this narrative bug is good. We've then gone through
there wasn't ever a distinction in my group and in my mind. Competitive play, we never talked about narrative play or competitive play. It was just, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It was just the automatic.
Yeah. But in the modern terms that GW provide us with open play narratives, so it'd be your narrative bunny was unleashed in the early stages by your friend Stormshroud. And then we spoke about how to create a narrative style force with the Imperial Guard example, which I really liked. And then we also spoke about in that same conversation how the terrain you have will set up your army and so on. We've also spoken about how you play that army. So with your orcs charging through and fighting the captain, because there's no war boss to tell them not to, and they're going to go crump what they can crump. And then finally, we've just spoken about how to set up a table and plan a game narratively using the resources you have available. Now, obviously, this isn't like a one-size-fits-all solution for everything, because we've kind of identified you have to use your creative brain.
You're quite good at this.
I try, my job as it is, my full-time job is to speak to things. So...
So's mine. I should get a laugh. It's funny because it's true.
Well, in terms of success measured, like you have more 40k kits than I do, so
I'm doing it longer.
There we go. But that's what we've gone through. I think that's probably a perfect time to wrap it up. We're slightly under an hour. But we've got a lot to film today, and we want to get these games out to you guys.
And you've got a 3-hour drive home.
Yeah, well, there is that. Yeah. Do you know where the nearest petrol station is? I'll ask you afterwards. But yeah, so that's what we've gone through. Paul's gone through and shared us pretty succinctly, actually, especially for you, Paul, how your narrative mind works. You know what you're like. You know who you are. You embrace who you are. Narrative, rambles. I mean, isn't your tagline like rambling on your channel?
It is. Yeah. But that's not... I would love to do really succinct, really focused stuff. And I am capable of doing it, but it needs more planning, it needs editing, it needs lots of retakes and getting it right. Yeah. And I haven't got the time investment. The whole style I have came about because I started, during the first lockdown, I started doing some vlogging, and I just when I decided to play a game against myself, I just picked up the camera and said, "Oh, I've just done this and I've just done that," and it sort of evolved from there. And people liked it. The only reason I do what I do is because the method of doing it quickly is people respond to it. People like it.
Yeah. It's entirely you and your personality on display. There's no...
Yeah, I guess.
Editing is wonderful. I do a lot of it in my hobby videos, but it's in your scenario, editing would remove some of your personality in some cases.
Years ago, quite a while ago, I filmed 2 battle reports with the Claw. One in 7th Ed that was good, but had some issues. And then another one latterly in 9th Ed, and they took they each took about 9 hours to edit, and they're very stressful to film as well.
It's quite soul-destroying, isn't it?
Have I got this right? Have I got that right? Was this rule okay? Do we need to go back and redo that? And I concluded there's absolutely no way I had the time or purse capacity to actually do it.
Yeah.
And then when it randomly came up that me just turning the camera on and talking and saying what I'm thinking when I'm thinking it is actually something that works for some people. So it's not that I like so much just being a gibbering idiot with the camera turned on, which I'm very self-aware. It's that's what I've got the bandwidth for.
Yeah. And people respond positively.
And people respond positively to it. So
well, absolutely. You've got 11,000 plus subscribers over on SayHiPaul.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already, and I'm sure you have, because my channel is this, Paul's is this, and then there's Winters.
Then there's Winters.
Absolutely. There he is. Hi, Winters.
Hi.
Yeah, for such a short man, he's got a lot of attention. So absolutely go and check out SayHiPaul's channel. Definitely become a member and watch the Pariah Experiment narrative campaign. The first episode will be up on YouTube shortly after this one, in terms of what, I'm crunching a week or so, 2 weeks?
Week or so. I need to do my pacing because I do a battle report every other week.
Yeah.
And it depends when I film the Tau, if I go Tau first, then this.
So it'll be up on SayHiPaul's in at the very least 2 weeks after this video comes out.
Well, tell you what, I'll ping you the link and you can share it so that people can...
Absolutely, So if you go to the community tab, sort of routinely, you'll see me share the video. Or, alternatively, the better solution, go and subscribe to SayHiPaul and just let it come up there, become a member, watch it there. We've also, just got to shout out Winters. Everyone knows Winters. Don't know why I'm shouting him out, but go and check out Winters SEO. He's the reason we're both doing this.
Oh, yes. Go and check out Fast Panda Gaming. It's Stormshroud and the Claw doing Infinity with absolutely gorgeous tables.
Yeah.
Their tables are amazing. One of them, they've got this redwood forest where they've got tree trunks the thickness of Pringle tubes that just run up and it's all fighting around the bottom. It's like Endor.
That's cool.
Check them out.
If you're into Infinity and other smaller role-playing wargaming style things, go and check those guys out. And with that, if you want to become a member of my channel, it's there. It's there.
Can I do one more?
Go.
Okay. Check out Moog's Little Figures. There's one of my good friends has started doing painting tutorials recently and live painting. There's some really good stuff, some really interesting techniques. So give those a look as well.
Cool. And if you've made it to this point to actually hear these shout outs, then well done you. You're a special little egg. Thank you.
Either that or the off button is out of reach.
Or you're busy player, you're asleep.
Or you're busy painting and you can't quite. I wish they'd shut up and stop so it'd go on to the next one.
Yeah. So now, if you're one of those people who just let us autoplay, hopefully the next video is a battle report from either SayHiPaul or Winters SEO. And if it comes up, then I knew all along, I'm psychic, it's not just random. Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.